Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday night at the Quantum Witch Cafe, where we talk about anything fringe, paranormal, strange, occult, anything that would give your pastor the ick, I suppose. I don't know. That's what it feels
Probably.
like. I don't
Usually.
know. There's some cool pastors, right? I'm gonna say there's some because I've met a few. But some show changes. My UFO people. If you're still here, thank you for still being here and riding this roller coaster with me. I'm going to be having more. You notice this year I've had more paranormal, I've had more demonology, I've had more of like the occult side. Next year, I'm going to be working more into cryptids and different types of like lifestyles. So I'm just going to branch out, guys. There's a lot of UFO podcasts out there, and I'm a weirdo. If you know me, you know me. So I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. I see a lot of Fang Fam. I see like none of my people. Is it the horns? I don't know. And so I must have scared some of you away, but it's totally all right because we have, a new group of people coming through the channel, and I love it. So hello, Queen of Vampires, Heatherly. I see a lot of people from the Discord. I see a lot of people from TikTok. Thank you so much for coming. And more importantly, thank you, Jack and Shane, for making a second appearance, because I feel like last time we kind of scratched the surface of what it means to be a living vampire.
Absolutely.
So that was kind of like the focus last time. And then we kind of dabbled in some growling, we focused more on your book and your characters. So this time we're going to get more into the magic, and we are honored to have Shane here too, because she's completely magical. I mean, not that you're not, Jack, but I mean, So thanks again for coming, guys. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. You can both go whenever you want. Just introduce yourselves. Who are you? What do you do for people that are not familiar?
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. Well, hello. I'm happy to be on the show for the first time officially. My name is Jack Townson. I am Jack's partner. And before, I would have just labeled myself as a full-time content creator and someone who happened to be really good at manifesting. But recently I have stepped into my identity and fully embraced my witchiness. So I'm officially coming out of the broom closet. And so do with that.
I like that.
Yeah,
we knew it. I mean, I feel like the witches knew already. We knew that you belonged.
Yeah, everyone was like, "Come on, Shane! Like, what are you doing over there?" Though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Jack was too,
yes.
to be honest.
I was screaming for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "You're magical." She's like, "No, I'm not." I'm like,
Well, like on the topic of magic, like a lot of people kind of like come into magic with like vision boards, manifesting, lighting candles at church, lighting candles on their cakes, and making a wish. So I think that once somebody realizes it's all the same, or it's all tied together at some point, then they're more comfortable saying, I'm a witch.
Exactly. I think I was just living through my Bella Swan complex, but now that I'm over that, I'm like, okay, I can be magical too. So.
Oh.
My Bella Swan. My Bella.
Oh. All right, Jack, your turn.
Hi guys.
Nobody knows you. Let's.
Hi. No one knows me. Hi. My name is the Vampire Jack Townson. I am the Vampire King of TikTok. I am a best-selling author, indie filmmaker, a male model. I am a musician, but I am, in my opinion, mostly a living vampire and a voice, one of the voices for the vampire community. I am an occultist, a practitioner of magic and energy work as well. And yeah, and I am also this one's significant other.
Oh, so cute. And so let's dive in. So, because, last time we talked about what it meant, all that meant, like what it meant to be a vampire. We talked about your book. We talked about the characters. You had a great growl session. And, people were excited. So, but we kind of ended, I don't know how we got on the topic. We briefly touched on vampire magic towards the end, and we decided let's talk about that the whole time next time. So thanks again for coming back, both of you. Mm-hmm. And let's dive in. Okay, so we know who you are now. What is the main differentiation between something that would be considered more vampiric magic versus something that would be more eclectic, Wiccan, all the other ones?
Okay, so it's interesting because a lot of them very much do shake hands. A lot of people would say, a lot of other vampires would say that an energy vampire, psychic vampire, is shake hands with actually witchcraft, with practicing magical practitioners. But in my opinion, with the oodles and doodles of research that I have done, I like to say that I kind of have a good, decent grasp. I would personally say that when it comes down to vampiric magic or vampiric energy work, because at the end of the day, it is a different type of energy work. It is a lot of utilization of, what do you think of when you think of a vampire? It is harnessing those energies and using them for your magic, using it and utilizing it. So that is honestly, in my opinion, the main difference. Like, somebody would hear that and they go, oh, it means it's darker, it means it's grittier. And some can be. That is entirely true. That is entirely true.
I mean,
that's
everywhere.
Very dark. Some can be considered dark. But really, that is the base idea of what vampire magic is. There's different forms of it, chaos and others as well, but that's basically what vampire magic really is, another type of energy work.
Okay, that makes total sense. I want to touch on kind of like Shane's experience coming in as, a manifester, essentially, because a lot of people come into magic with like what is given to us that is acceptable. Mm-hmm. So we come in saying, oh, we just make vision boards, or I just light a little candle here and there, all these superstitious things, stem in the occult, which is a big blanket term, right? So what is your experience, coming into, I guess when you guys came together, you probably both had your own form of magic. Like, how did that change, and how did yours start, and how did you guys integrate those together?
Oh my God. It is, wow. It has been.
You guys know I get right in. I'm just nosy. So
we are so transparent. Yep. No, it's silly how transparent we really are. So before Shane, I was dabbling. I was a dabbler of like in witchcraft itself, like the actual magical practice. I was not as steeped as I am now. But as a living vampire, I've been a living vampire my entire life. Like that's what I've always done. Even before I knew a lot of different energetic techniques, I was doing them without reading a book. So that's something I've just done. Before, it was more out of a necessity, out of a need. There was less of a true understanding because I hadn't done as much research as I really could have. But when I met Shane had this this insatiable hunger, ironically, this insatiable hunger for understanding this as well. Mm-hmm. Shane is the greatest support system that I have ever had. That's why she is my swan. She is my donor. She is my support system. She is incredible. And, together, the way that my experience has changed is we have pretty much dived headfirst into everything that we can, reading every little book, every crumb of information, and really trying to get to the bottom of a lot of it. So now I am a full practitioner, I am a full energy worker, and I have a better understanding of what I am and different things as well. It's pretty interesting.
And what about you, Shane? So you come into here, you meet a guy. Not only do you meet a guy that you sort of manifested, right? Yeah. You feel comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, big time. Absolutely.
I know you guys talk about it. I don't know if I was allowed. I just kind of dumb.
No, it's totally fine. I mean, I talk about this on my lives all of the time. And in fact, it's not the first time that I, manifested a relationship or manifested something that I really wanted. I would say it's like the second really, really big thing that I very purposefully manifested. And it's not even that like I manifested Jack specifically because I didn't know that Jack existed. It's kind of like Practical Magic when Sandra Bullock is like making this list of like her this impossible list and there's nobody that could exist like this. I kind of had a list like that and not because I didn't want to fall in love, but just because I'm very specific. And it's like, yeah, so I didn't know that Jack, was a possibility, but I knew that I was very unhappy and very unfulfilled in the situation that I had previously been in. And I just kind of never really expected. I'm very much like a skeptic first, and I'm an academic first, and I have to really experience it and do it and have my hands on it for me to believe it. And I think that if you're a practitioner, that is a really good way to approach your practice, because not everything is like wooey, but when it is, it's really magical, and that you're getting something that's very real. So so when I made that list, it was kind of like a wish for more, for lack of a better term. It was like, I don't know if I'll ever truly find this, but if I ever did, this is exactly what I would want. I went to school for theater. Like, I was always a theater kid. I was, I've been writing books since I was 16. I've been singing since I was 16. I've been into vampires since I was 14, and probably before that even. So all of the very specific boxes Jack ticks off is like very interesting, because where are you going to find a thespian, poetry writing, storytelling, show tune singing vampire? Like, it's very specific. So when I saw Jack on TikTok, I was like, I think that's was exactly my Starbucks order. Like, not to diminish it to something like so
I'm
simple.
pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Ooh, what happened there? Is that your energy thing making the camera thing happen?
Yeah,
he's getting excited because you're talking about him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, literally.
It's so funny. We just did an interview for the US Sun, and they had like something glitch with their tech recent. Like, they were trying to put together our interview, and like the video in the article glitched, and all of the tech people were like stumped. They couldn't figure it out. It had never happened. Mm-hmm. And the person who did the interview texted me, and she was like, "We all believe now."
Yeah, they're saying the entire tech room was like believing, and they're like, "Oh,
yeah,"
because they had never experienced anything like that before at all. We were just like,
"It happens. It happens."
Yeah, definitely.
Getting back to your question, like, when we first met, I was very kind of wistful about my approach to anything relating to witchcraft. Like, I wanted to believe. And, for me, it was kind of wish fulfillment. It might be real. It might not be real. Again, I'm a skeptic first, and I never really took any kind of research or practice seriously. So I would say, I think that's the big difference between now and then. Because before, like Jack said, I was very much like, I'm very content to be normal, the normal one. I'm very content to be, the person that's, not magical, because it makes my experience with him so much more dynamic. But then, the more, in my opinion back then, but the more we got into it, and the more, the stronger our relationship is becoming, like, the more time we spend together, and the more interest I take in his practice, the more I'm realizing, hey, I'm actually manifesting in a way that has bended my reality. Like, I'm actually doing things, whether wittingly or unwittingly, that has definitely changed the course of my reality. And I think that I have so much interest in this that it's kind of weird that I haven't taken a more serious approach thus far. So I think now it's time. And I was joking with Jack too, that I just turned 33. 33 is a very magically inclined number. It's also the number most associated for spiritual awakenings. So I think that it's very appropriate that I am really stepping into my practice and my power in a very official way now. So
that's beautiful. Yeah, coming into the community, I just assumed you were a witch. I don't know.
I inspired him to come out of the coffin, and he inspired me to take myself a little bit more seriously. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys, that's that's relationship dynamic, whether it's a friendship or a loving, really, like a partnership. So so I can only imagine getting into the energy work that a swan and a vampire exchange. Like, that is something that, like, if you're not understanding energy work, it doesn't really sound like all that much happening. But when we're exchanging energy with one another, especially for a vampire and a swan, it's like I'm sure that that's even gotten more beautiful, and I'm just speculating. But do you think that the magic has enhanced your energetic exchange in that aspect, like when feeding and donating?
Absolutely, 100%. It's just so like by the numbers. It's like yes, absolutely. Ever since getting more into actual becoming an actual practitioner and understanding more about this, and especially working together, things have fallen into place, and feeding has become a wild experience, and the magic that we do is just it's absolutely nuts. And it's the best when you do something together, when you spell work or otherwise, or energetically, vampiric magic, and then you get a result, and then we look at each other and we go,
yeah. It's interesting because like the energy exchange and the feedings and the things like that have made me especially more aware of energy and like how energy feels and how it moves.
Yeah.
So it's like, if anything, that sparked the hunger even more. I'm like, oh wait, this is tangible. This is so visceral and real. And like, why didn't I notice this before?
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's insane when you start working with it actively. Like a lot of like, I'm sure you're learning more and more from each other, and you're like, I've been doing this, but you have a name for it. Like, like you've known how to do this. This has a place. And I talk to people a lot about seeing like the fluctuations in energy, and like how so many people can see it, but people write them off their entire life. And then, they just kind of dismiss it as this or that when it's not. So my next question is going to be like, you kind of talked about like the darker aspects, and that's what people are afraid of. Like, again, we talked about this a little bit in the first interview, the whole like stigma behind psychic vampire, because we hear a lot of people saying it like,
exactly.
no, you're not a psychic vampire, those are bad, So what sort of like darker aspects would scare people? Because I have a problem because I'm very comfortable in that side of things. So I had to force myself the other way to be like, not that I don't love and I don't have light in me, but that was more forced than just kind of like being myself and being in that shadowy aspects of things. And the shadowy aspects scared people. What do you think scares people? And what are some of the things that people are concerned about when it comes to darker aspects of vampiric magic?
A lot of people are scared of darker subjects, matters in general. Just if you have a darker mindset, or you have a more instinctual mindset, immediately you're labeled, or you're seen a certain way. When it comes to being a magical practitioner, especially a vampire, living psychic, whatever kind of vampire, right? Immediately people get that imagery of the predator, the hunter, the monster. And, there's an innate fear. There's a deep fear that is something that is primordial almost. So of course, the first thing that they're going to do is go, no, you're not, no, you're not, no, you're not. Because as much as they don't want to admit it, they are scared. They are genuinely scared. On my live streams, every time I'm talking about this, I'm trying to educate, and I'm trying to have the conversation, create the conversation. There's always the same questions. Are you mean? Are you a bad vampire? Are you one of the good ones? Are you like an evil one? It's like, sweetie, no. Back up. No, that's not how this works. At the end of the day, who you are is just who you are. We're all shades of gray. And what it comes down to is intention. What is your intention? Of course, people can use techniques and magic for bad intentions. However, just because you are of a darker nature does not mean that you let bad intentions rule you. It just means that you're dark. It just means that a lot of these things come from a darker place. Like there has to be balance, in my opinion. You cannot have light without dark, and you cannot have dark without light. And to say immediately, oh, well, you can't be that because that I think that's evil, is ignorance. It's just ignorance and fear. And if we can
absolutely
pull that blindfold away, if we can pull that sheet away and just go, hey, they both exist. It does not mean you're evil. And hey, we'll get some progress.
Exactly.
For sure. The lack of research on people just not being curious. Like the word demon alone, my
Oh
goodness,
God.
go look into it. Like not to get like all fired up and woo, but
I'm down.
Go balls on that
right,
road.
before we move on,
Okay.
we have this is one of my best friends, and she's my good Catholic girl. She like talks me out of like doing naughty witch things from time to time. But what is a swan? I guess a lot of people might not know what a swan is, and are there different kinds? So let's answer that before we get into like the whole misunderstanding of terms that are like twisted by pop culture.
Let's go. So what is a swan? What is a swan? So a swan is a bird. No. So they're a lot more angry than you think. But no. A swan in the vampire community, the name has shifted and adjusted throughout the decades. But the base idea of what a swan is it is an ally. You are an ally to the vampire community. That's first and foremost. You can be a black swan, or you could just be a swan as well, where you are a donor. But these terms shift and change, so they can kind of like be adjusted. But at the end of the day, a swan is an ally, but you can also be a donor for a living vampire as well.
I do also want to add and acknowledge too,
and a buddy.
And a buddy, yeah. I do want to acknowledge as well that one of the founders, if not the pillar of the vampire community, is in the chat right now, Michelle Belanger. Just want to acknowledge that. Yeah, he's there right now supporting, and we love him, and he's amazing. But also the term swan is used by, or has been mostly, I should say, used by a very particular group within the vampire community. It's not used by everybody in the vampire community. That is what makes it maybe a little bit antiquated to the 90s, as Michelle said, but we've adopted it because, the iconography is nice. It's lovely. And I get to wear my little swan pendant, and it's cute. And the idea of like, being an ally or having that term for ally and have it be something that's so like graceful is just really lovely. So that's one of the things that we take from Well, yeah. So yeah.
Well, welcome, Em. It's so cool that you're in the chat. I'm definitely going to be harassing you to get you to come talk about your new book. So I'm going to hunt you down, or I could just probably ask you because I follow you on Instagram. So so that's very cool, and I like that. I think that it's definitely a term that it's cute. You know what I mean? Because like you have somebody that supports you, and will sort of like feed you in certain ways, and some people. Like, I did not realize how much my husband fed me till he's been gone this past 4 months. Like, I am just constantly just like, holy cow, like the dynamic's gone, So, yeah. Let's see. We have one more question. Darker place. Okay. So we were going to kind of go there anyway. So what sorts of aspects would be dark? Like, I'm confused by it. I've always been confused by it. Like, I was the weird kid that brought niche into my counselor's office at Catholic school because they sent me to a counselor. So like nothing weird happened. I was just different. You know what I mean? So they're just like, you need to talk to the Christian counselor, So I'm like, oh, I'm reading this. Why are you reading niche in 5th grade? I don't know. So I have a problem differentiating, because to me it's not always bad. And yes, there's things that are a little more intense and that you don't want around, or make people uncomfortable. But what things, like for people that are unfamiliar with some of these stereotypes that would be considered dark, like what have you heard people be afraid of when it comes to the magic or the vampirism? Because to me it's just, maybe I'm overly accepting, or because I'm part of it, I've never been like afraid of that sort of stuff. So like, what would like a normal person be afraid of?
Okay, sure. Let's go. There are some things I'm not going to mention because, we all know that I'm transparent here. There are some things I'm not going to mention because they are intense. They can be very, very intense. This can go in a very intense direction. However, the baseline is, number one, the idea of vampirically feeding in the first place is considered to be something dark. You are taking energy from someone in a matter of different ways. If it is that you're working with the donor, and it should always be consensual, by the way, that is my opinion. It should always be consensual. But the idea of taking energy from someone, to drain someone of their energy, is to someone outside. If I was to go outside, right, walk down the street, pull someone off, and I go, "Hey, my girlfriend, my love, my darling, she feeds me and she gives me her energy." I will tell you right now,
Her life force.
Her life force. I take her life force and I utilize it. No, if I was to do that, like I've seen in videos and in comments on lives, what does she get out of it? Why? What are you doing?
Sounds toxic.
What are you using it for? You know, there's this, like I said before, an inherent view of that by itself is considered to be dark. So it is a little bit darker. It is an inverse, or just in the idea of it is dark. But if we're talking about like being a magic practitioner, working with demons, things like that are considered to be pretty dark.
Sorry, I may have looked a little too happy at that. I'm just like,
no. Immediately you tell somebody, you're like, "Oh yeah, well, like who do you work with?" And you're like, "Oh, well, I work with some specific demons, and you know, they're chill." They immediately will go, "I have to go now."
yeah, it really scares people.
Do you need to go to confession? Are you okay? No. So those off the top of my head, those are inherently, the idea behind them are dark. But if you done research and you know a lot about occultism, etc., it's not all black and white.
Right. Right. Yeah, I've had friends say to like, no, we're not. Don't even say that word. I'm like, but it means something else. Look at etymology before you get mad. Like, please, like maybe you don't want to. I get it. I'm gonna respect that. But at the same time, like you're like, people are in our lives, and when we say stuff like this, it really freaks them out because they don't understand it. But like I'm supposed to go read the Bible and listen to people tell me about how this verse says this, which the Bible is the most gruesome metal thing, guys, when you actually read it. Like there's some naughty, like gory stuff in there. And like just going back to the etymology of the word that scares you. But I guess it's not everybody's nature to just like go all Bane, right? And like be in the darkness. Like some people are just like, I'm good, like with this as it is, as I know it. But it's also like one thing, like if you're fine with that, that's fine. But if you want to have a talk about it, then you should look into it, right? So let's go back to this demon thing, because I'm not afraid to address it. Obviously I have horns, and like I'm out there, but like we're out there. So this is an out there show. And if you're uncomfortable talking about occultism, then you probably shouldn't be like following my show. And I've always been into the weird stuff. So it's not just recently. I had demonologists on before this. I've had, I had hoodoo practitioners. I had a whole night of like witches. There was a satanic witch. There was a Luciferian witch and the hoodoo witch. So, if you've watched my show for a while, this is going to fit right in. So what is this whole thing around the misunderstanding about certain infernals, demons, gods that are considered evil, and how have you found in your life that what we've been told is not true about these entities?
Yeah. Sure, I can talk on this for sure, because this is a big part of my research currently and a big part of my awakening.
It's been fun.
Now.
It's been a fun time.
Yeah, I didn't expect to, it's funny. There's a whole conversation about like white hat versus black hat magic with the K, right? And it's like, it's just as people are saying in the chat, and just as we've said, black hat stuff or left hand stuff or, the darker stuff is not inherently evil and is not inherently bad. It's aligned differently. Historically, it's aligned differently. There's a lot of things that kind of, differentiate light versus dark. But as Jack said, there's a gray, and you can practice all things at once. Different things shake hands or whatever. But my research has been looking into the real meaning of working with demons, or what demons are. And again, nothing inherently. And the grand stage, I feel like there's so much to say, and like I'm trying to say it in a very limited way. The grand stage, Catholicism and Christianity are actually very young. They're very young. And I'm not going to, get on my soapbox about what things have been borrowed or stolen or whatever. That's for anybody else to kind of infer for themselves, do your own research. But on the grand stage, it's very young. You have a lot of very old religions, old gods, old things. And like you said, the base of the word demon or daemon does not mean anything evil. It actually means something quite different. It's entities that are there for I'm trying not to get this wrong, because again, like all of my research is very recent, but light bearer, Lucifer is a light bearer, right? Guiding. Thank you. Guiding
entity.
Guiding entity, information, sharing information and things like that. So once you really start digging around and looking into the truth, the occult truth or the secret truth or the truth that has been buried, you will, it's mind bending. You'll find that, everything that society has told you since you were a little kid is not really true. If anything, there's a joke in the magical communities that fae are probably the things that are like, the things you should watch out for the most, but that's a whole other conversation. So, to answer your question, I urge people to, instead of just kind of blindly believing the things that they've been taught and accepting that this is inherently good or this is inherently bad or evil or whatever, and this is meant to harm me, peel back the layers, be open-minded, do your own research, because you might hear about something like a living vampire, a psychic vampire, or a demon or anything like that. Most of the demons named in the Bible are oppressed gods. Yeah, that's a whole other
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'm finding you, and I'm gonna beg you to come on, because I want to talk about this, because you have a book about this as well. So Em has a really good demonology book. It's a fatty. It's a fatty, guys. If you like a fat book.
I will leave you with this. If God is a jealous God, then that automatically indicates that there must be other gods to be jealous of. No? Raise you that.
Bam. Mic drop.
Yeah.
So I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
So are there certain deities, or, I just wish I had one word for it, because there's so many different words. Are there certain entities that are important to vampire magic? Who are the vampire saints? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Are there certain ones that are more representative of vampiric energy and vampiric lineage than there are other things?
That's so interesting, because there are a lot of vampires that don't really work with many deities, that don't worship deities or work with deities, that work on mostly self-deification. So it depends on your practice. It really does, or your view of this, because there's so many different views. There are so many different views of what being a living vampire actually is. Personally, on my personal end, Lilith, a lot of people are like, oh my god, Lilith, oh my god, oh no. And it's like, I saw this video the other day that was great, where they were talking about Lilith, and it was another practitioner that worked directly with Lilith, and they were kind of talking about how, if you're going to work with a deity, demonic, infernal, whatever, you have to accept them for all that they are. You can't just cut out the things that are a little more messy, a little more, dark or intense. You have to accept them for all that they are. So on my end, Lilith is one that makes perfect sense. Mother of demons, mother of vampires. She is, I can't say enough good things, but there are many others. Tiamat. Who else as well?
President Volok is one that I've been looking into a lot, and he's aligned very closely with vampiric souls or the vampire and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that whoever's going to reach out to you is going to reach out to you, right? So
as well.
Would that be considered a demon or just an old god, though?
That's just an old god.
Yeah.
Okay, repeat it.
Demon. Sekhmet as well.
Okay.
Be one that makes sense as well. There are so many that honestly would make sense, but at the same time, it just depends on your practice. It really does.
Very, very interesting. I do have a question about vampire souls. So,
Okay.
vampire souls are okay. So, they are older than like a normal human soul.
Yes.
Is that okay? And you had mentioned, I think either last time or in a live, that they kind of get recycled over and over again. I know that sounds horrible, like the recycling part of it, but they do cycle back into a body, back into a body, back into a body, which is kind of like the dark side for the vampire sometimes, is that immortality of just being stuck here forever. So can you talk about maybe like what is different from a vampiric soul versus just, somebody that's not? Because I'm sure there's all these other things too, right? These other types of souls that coexist. But can you touch on that a little?
Of course. So there's the idea, we talk about this a lot. There's the idea that if you are a regular soul, human soul or otherwise, that you return to source when you die. You return to source, you were utilized, and then, you're spat back out in whatever way, right? For a vampire, we do not go back to source. We come from an entirely different energy, a different place entirely. So when we actually perish or whatever, we remain here. We actually remain on this, we remain and here. We're not living, but we are here. We wander until we can find something that's the perfect storm to be reincarnated, rebirth. But that's the base in my opinion. That's just what it is. That's how it works.
Doomed to walk and pay taxes and walk again.
Hey, you know what? You know what? Hey, it's fine. It's neat. It's fine here. Yep.
There's like, I don't know if anybody's seen that movie Soul. I have kids, so I've seen every kid movie. And there's a part where the little soul, like, she can't find like a home, basically, to be in a body to be in. And she wakes up in this body and she's like, gross, I'm in a body. And I'm like, I feel like sometimes I have days like that. I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't want this. But is there a way out for vampire souls? Like, if they're just like, no, I'm done. Is that not a thing, or is you're just stuck here?
That's a great question. My opinion. So from the things that I've researched, right? We do have a reason to be here. And one of the reasons is we're here to guide people. We are here to kind of in many different ways. Yeah, exactly. So we every cycle that we have, from what I've researched, and it means that we are meant to do a certain task. We don't know what that task is. Every single cycle, we need to remember who we used to be, and then guide others to who they are as well. Is there a way out?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure if there was, it would be pretty known. It would be something that is definitely talked about. However, I mean, what better task can you? This is just my opinion. What better fate or what better task is there than making sure that others are guided to their own destinies, their own fates, and are shepherded in a way that they need?
You just have to accept yourself. It goes back to that whole just accepting yourself as you are, the way you would accept other beings, right?
Exactly.
And just accepting your role, I suppose.
I said, not bored yet, not going anywhere.
Not bored yet, not going anywhere.
It's not done.
Yep. There's too much to do. There really is. As time goes on, and as people lose their way and forget themselves and forget how to live authentically, or forget about magic, or
Oh yeah,
right, we're here.
Yeah, because you've not just inspired other people having their vampiric awakening. It's also just like myself, anybody who's looking for the magic that maybe doesn't know how to find it quite yet, or so many things.
It is an important task. It is an extremely important task. And every time I think about this, I'm going to get on my soapbox.
All right.
Every time I think
ready for you.
Because I won't lie, throughout my life, especially this cycle, I've looked at being a vampire. And there have been obvious moments, as so many of us have, where we're like, can we put this in the closet? Can I put this in a box, right? But now where I'm sitting, right, in this place, I can firmly look back and go, I would do this again. I'm going to get emotional. I would do this again. Because every day get people messaging me, telling me how much I've affected their lives, how much they didn't know what they were, or they didn't know who they were until they heard me talk about this. And there's no greater gift. It's a gift being what we are.
Wow, that's really deep. I'm going to take a moment to breathe. It's a great way to put that. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Something just clicked. Sorry. So let's take a couple of questions because it's along the lines of a past life question.
Oh.
In the past lives, you remember.
Oh, sorry.
In your past self knew
as a vampire. In the pieces that I do remember, because like when we talk about the past life thing, it is not like this thing where I'm like, oh yes, I remember when I had that breakfast that I enjoyed back in Wallachia or wherever.
Go through regression. They're like, you like donuts.
They're like, I enjoyed that powdered donut. They made them very good. There it is pieces. However, there is one where it was pretty possible. However, that's still here or there, but it's very ingrained, like being what we are, right? The way that this works with the awakening. When you have your awakening, you know what you are. You know. Like there may be like a hint of a confusion. There may be something like kind of up in the air, right? And it's like, am I an alien? That's what I thought when I was a kid. That was the other thing that was floating around. I was like, vampire, alien. Where, but
why not both?
The words change. Exactly. Words change. But it's there. Once you have your awakening, you're like, uh-oh. Yes. Wait, there's something else going on that I need to probably inspect at some point. So I'm going to assume that in every past life that I've lived, I have known.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting to think about our past lives because sometimes maybe we were in a time where you may have been, if you are a vampire, you're a vampire forever. So like if you may have not even you may not have lived long enough to like know your awakening or experience your awakening, which sometimes you wish you're like, nah, just turn it off. Everything physical ends. To keep knowledge alive, we inscribe it on our souls and carry it into the future. Oh, yeah. That's so beautiful. Okay. Amazing. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. So, guys, you're thinking stuff's dark. Like my heart's getting touched over here. Is anybody else's heart getting touched out here? Or am I the only weirdo?
It can be dark and wholesome.
The dark little wholesome heart.
Yeah. I feel like that is part of our message, though. Honestly,
yeah,
with everything we talk about, everything we do is that, like, maybe maybe dark, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah,
it can even be adorable.
I mean, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have to show you. Speaking of adorable,
what is it?
Oh my god! Oh, that's so cute.
Oh, it's a baby bat. Sorry.
That's adorable.
My mom got that for me. Isn't that funny?
My child.
It's your baby. I'm gonna have to send you guys a Build-A-Bear. That was the last bat, but I could at least give you a bear with a king jack. Sure, I'm sure there's some left.
Yeah, but
you need like the man size though.
Yeah.
I'll wear that one.
Into it.
It'll fit like on your calf.
That's good.
It's your head.
Yeah, I did. I saw a weird mist earlier too. Yeah.
Get you an emotional support demon. I'm an emotional support demon. I swear. People call me with insanity. And I thought it was because I was an empath. But the problem is empaths. I just made like a little TikTok about this, like empaths. You just got to let it flow through you and out of you. But when you're a vampire, it comes in and you're like, can I keep it? So, you know,
rise and eat this.
come here, sweetheart.
Go ahead, no problem. You need to vent. Oh no, my goodness! I remember all throughout. Actually, on that subject, all throughout my upbringing.
That's why you always want me to vent. That's why you're like, tell me about it. Talk to me about that.
People think we're nosy. People think we're nosy. We just want to eat it.
I look at him and I'm like, there's not really much else I can see.
Girl, I'll make some popcorn. You got your drama? My friend called me. She did some weird blood magic stuff that backfired. And I'm just like,
duh, Shane.
Yes, my child. And I literally made popcorn because I had a feeling she was going to call. And she called. She's like, are you eating popcorn right now? I'm like, this is like what you're telling me. It's just like, you can't make this shit up. Like,
listen, all throughout
vampires are a great shoulder to cry on.
It's true because all throughout my upbringing, all throughout my life, there was a friend. They were coming right to me. They're coming straight to me. You know, number one, we're inherently there's something within us that people do want to just unload everything. Shane has witnessed this. It happens all the time, even with strangers. However, we never mind because it's just like, oh no, do you need a hug?
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell me.
You got the straw out.
Oh my god,
I am here for you. What do you need?
So mad right now because he does this to me all the time, and I'm like, but the thing is like I am personally not very verbose about my feelings. Like I'm the type of person that's gonna like think internally and be like in here like da 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 and like work through it. And he's like, talk to me.
That's how it works because then it gets some like charge to it, and then when you give it to us, it's like
it's healthy.
You're right.
It's healthy to talk. However, it's also
delicious.
You know.
There's like, I thought forever. So I even took like priestessing classes because I was like, I'm a priestess. That's what it is. I need to hold space for people. And then I need to eat it. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, I'm here for you, baby girl. And then like just like never release it like an empath is supposed to. Like empaths, true empaths, like you gotta let it go, you gotta send it back, you gotta call it back, you gotta do all this stuff energetically. And I took Reiki classes, I took priestessing classes only to find out like I could have just watched your friggin' lives and or read M's book and been like, oh. So it's a ride, guys. If you have an awakening of any sort, because there's all sorts of different awakenings. Go lay down. Sorry, kids.
Oh, I get it. we understand.
They're both sick. I said that already. But yeah, they're both sick. So they're just like not sleeping well because of the congestion and all that.
Yeah. 'Tis the season, you know?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I have not had anything worse wood. Nothing's wood anymore. But but yeah, so people have all these awakenings, right? And it's confusing for some people because each one can give you a little bit of something. Now, if you experience it all at once, you might go crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, when you do certain mind expansion drugs, like I did ayahuasca and I legit for a minute was like, I'm going to go fucking crazy. Like, I'm not coming back because I've seen this expanded state of energy around us and like other things that I can't even describe. So awakenings are like little mini versions of that. And this can cause people to have like an ontological shock, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure people come to you with this, like when they have like an awakening, spiritual, vampiric, you know, which vampiric can be spiritual, but you know, like what do you tell people when they're having this like whole moment with their awakening and they come to you and they're having some sort of like the ontological shock's the word. They're questioning origins of everything.
Yeah.
So what do you tell them?
Well, honestly, it depends on how serious the situation is. If someone is having an absolute meltdown level of freak out, then of course it's going to be calming them down, kind of just being a shoulder for them. But no matter what it is, no matter what is going on, especially when it's somebody coming to me, because I only ever usually personally get people that are vampires or having their awakenings, their actual awakenings, vampiric awakenings come to me. They will. And I will immediately go, okay, listen, here's the thing, you know, here's what I would like you to do. First of all, take a breath, relax. everything is going to be okay. Everything is all right. Here are the resources that are useful. Here's what helped me. There are some incredible books by some amazing authors, amazing authors. And then there are web pages. There are actual web pages out there where you can get a lot of the information as well. Go and read those things. And if you need anything else, we are all here for you. And that is a base. Because you don't know what someone's experience could be completely different. No one has the same experience. Everybody has different touches, different nuances. So for someone to come to me and be like, well, I'm starting to see purple I'm going to be like, I have no idea. I've never experienced that before, but I can tell you that you're going to be okay. And then give them as much guidance and as much, support as possible.
So do you have time? And that's some great advice. You always have to do your own research and find your own thing. But like, you're right. You can just point people in the right direction. You have that on your website. And then I know M has a beautiful group as well. So,
Amazing group.
So yeah, that's another resource. And I'm seriously going to have you on. I'll do anything. So let's take some questions. I see a good question because there is like this whole energetic feeding that people are able to do remotely. You can gift energy remotely. And this is something that is practiced, right? So the question is, I have a question for Jack. When I feel things during the live feedings, does that make me empathic in some way?
Okay, so that's interesting. That's definitely a very interesting question. So when it comes to energy, when it comes to the feedings, because this feeding specifically, right? The way that works is we do the whole I say, hey, you put your hands up. Everybody puts their hands up. If you consent, make yourself open. And then I have them understand how to lower their shields a little bit, how to be a little more open, and how to, be aware in their minds. I guide them to say it out loud because there is a lot of power in saying something and to putting it out into the universe. So the truth of the matter is, most of the time I'm actually reaching through and taking the energy manually, right? I'm pulling the energy, I'm guiding it, I'm coaxing it. So if you feel that, does that mean you're more empathetic? That's hard to say because there are been a lot of people that I've fed off in the past that haven't been empathetic, but have felt the feelings. So that one's a little bit difficult to say. But if it was another situation, well, how about this? Okay, here, I have another one. How did the feeding make you feel? If you felt,
throw that in there.
If you felt the feeding, and one of the things that you felt, and you felt unburdened, and you felt, oh, I can think clearly, I feel better, I feel sharper. Hey, you could be more empathetic for that reason. That's a pretty good indicator. If you were somebody that was very tired or very drained, doesn't mean you're not empathetic.
Oh, what did I press?
Buttons.
I don't know, but that was fun.
No, you pressed the button.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry, guys. They're all sniffly. That's my oldest. So
so cute.
I was making a video earlier for he comes like right when I'm done, he goes bum bum bum. I'm like that's definitely going up.
Oh, that is so cute. Oh my god. But yeah, if you're somebody that felt drained, doesn't mean you're not empathetic. It just means that you're not as, heightened in that moment. You're not as, full of energy, right? But there's so many different nuances. There really are. Yeah. So I wouldn't use that as an indicator if you are or if you're not. Are you?
Yeah, I've been asked for I don't have like a big following on my vampire TikTok yet. I was trying to because the UFO people were getting confused. So I was just I made a vampire TikTok, but I've made a few videos on empaths and this is what I did as an empath versus what I'm doing you know, this is like kind of like how I realized my difference, you know, and again, always saying like, this is only my experience. It can't be everybody's experience, you know, or it's not everybody's experience. So the whole empath thing, like, I feel like all humans are empathic to like a certain point, but some like, they can literally feel like other people's pain. So yeah. And then what if it's somebody with like just a ton of excess energy and they, you know, donate to you and they're just like, whatever, like a rhinoceros. They're just like still there, strong, and doesn't affect them. So
I'm
yeah,
just
the whole empath thing.
really good too, actually. I do want to touch on that really quick. The experience could shake loose awareness of latent psychic abilities. That is actually something that I never talk about that because I forget. That is actually something that can happen when you are fed off of by a vampire. That is a genuine thing.
That makes sense. That makes sense because
there it is.
They like, there's something about like vampires that it like shows people, like it's like a mirror, and it shows them parts of themselves maybe like that they weren't aware of. And it doesn't always have to trigger like an awakening or something crazy, but like that makes total sense what she said, that it could just, because you think it's no different than energy work if you think about it. Like in different energy practices, we're removing blockages and we're like freeing up space so things can flow better. And then if it's like a chakra situation and you're feeding and it just so happened to come from there, or a blockage from like an area that was near a chakra, it can totally open up that part of you. And you might wake up with your superpowers the next day, you know?
True.
You guys have time for a few more questions? I know we're coming up on the hour.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is great.
And you might have to explain this because not everybody knows what this means.
Okay.
During the feed, how unmasked do you get? Like a scale of 1 to 10, 1 mask, 10 unmasked. First of all, before you tell that or answer that, what is masking to a vampire?
Okay, all right. So this is just how I have understood this. This was one of the terms that I've used for a long time to explain higher self in a way, like the other, right? The vampiric soul. So during the feeds, when I feed, as well as many other vampires attest to this, psychic vampires especially, you will kind of show the truth behind what you are. There is the corporeal form. There is the physical self, and then there is the vampiric soul within, the inhuman entity. As others uncomfortably see, that's another dark thing. There's another dark thing that somebody you think your soul is inhuman. Oh my! I'll go to church.
Yeah, but it's okay if like a star seed says it. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah. So during an unmasking, what it'll be is the mask is the corporeal form. The mask is the physical self that is representing myself or another vampire. When you feed, the energy of the vampiric self, subtle body, becomes more apparent, becomes more seen. And in certain situations, such as moments of anger, moments of defensiveness, moments of lust and sensuality, but especially during the feed, no matter what the feed can be, depending on the levels of energy being taken, or disassociative state as well, the more that you will show truly what is underneath the surface. And, you know, somebody on the outside would hear that and they'd be like, oh, that's, you know, oh, but, you know, we have in our lives during our feeds, little moments, little scenarios where we will do the live feed, especially nowadays, because it wasn't the same before, where someone will say something or someone will see something and they'll have a moment where like, did I see what I saw? And, you know, I'll just kind of be like, did you? So that's what unmasking is.
Yes. Some people, yeah, it's complicated, and if you're doing it, you don't know what you're doing, but you're freaking people out. That's kind of complicated. Which one?
Yeah.
Can't imagine that's easy where you live.
No, so accurate. Like this will be fine, and then it's just like it wasn't fine.
Ooh. All right. Is there a name for a person that sends, channels energy, just a one-way conduit of sorts?
A donor,
A donor.
swan.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, it depends on the way that you send energy, because you could, be a healer. That could be something that you're doing as well, sending that energy out. When it comes to somebody that is a vampire, a lot of us will agree that the way that this really does work, right, is that we have to be the scalpel. We need to go in, or some of us are the hammer, where we need to go in to take. And that's the predatory nature. That's the idea behind it, which is seen to be dark. So if you send energy to one of us, usually it'll slide off. Usually it'll just kind of go, and we're like, ah. But if you're someone that sends energy out,
It's on my shirt.
They're like, no, my food, it's on the floor now. It's all over my knees.
Stepped on it.
It's all over my knees now.
Oh my god.
Damn it.
Yeah, this is so evil, guys.
With your Tide pen. Like, you're like, oh,
Oh, come on.
give me some soda water.
I wanted that so bad. So, but you could be a healer. You could, sending energy to other people that need it. So, healer, or a donor as well. And there's another
Wink,
one.
wink. Just kidding.
There's so many words.
There's so many different ways to do like energy work, right?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of work.
All right, let's see if there's any more questions. Is there anything that you... Hold on, Lily has a question, but I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. So if you could clarify, unless you guys know.
Aspect. What aspect?
Yeah, can you clarify
Means so
what
many
aspect? Yeah, just clarify the clarify the question. I'm not laughing at your question. Sorry, I saw another funny one down here. Yeah, just clarify that, and we'll try and answer it. Don't throw a cookie at me.
Oh man!
What a waste of a cookie.
What, this cookie would have been so good.
5-second rule for energy snacks.
Yeah. Well, maybe, because you know what? To be fair, then if you throw that energy out there, it can then become ambient energy, and then you can then just kind of vacuum it up.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that is the 5-second rule.
That's the 5-second rule.
The 5-second rule. If we drop it, it's mine.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
Hit my chest.
Like, sorry. I'm getting so many visuals right now.
It's so much fun.
All right. Don't throw cookies at people is the moral of the story. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now it's about to get weird already.
Oh, let's go.
The chat never disappoints.
Don't throw pizza.
Throw it. If I'm there, throw it. At least as long as it's in my direction.
I will never look at pizza the same way. Like I had like that's my favorite food. And that's your sign, guys. If you are in love with pizza, you might be a vampire. I sent you guys that I sent you the picture. Like I got a pizza, and it was like these New Yorker dudes have a pizza place out here in Baltimore. But it was like just dripping down. I'm like, what a slutty pizza! Like
that's a slutty pizza. That's a dirty.
That's how you know it's good. So.
It's just like
that's
literally, I was getting it. It was just like everywhere.
I mean, it's the best when it rolls down your arm, though.
Yeah, it like that cheese was like all of it. I was like, okay. Anyways, let's.
Mom, can you pick me up? I'm scared.
She's not allowed to hang out anymore.
I want to come home.
Not me laughing at your cries for help.
Best
All right, let's see. Everybody's having fun now. Did you guys talk about everything that you feel like needed to be addressed? Like we have fun on the show. It gets laid back. We have talking points. We try to cover them. But, is there anything that you feel does not get addressed when it comes to vampires in general, vampiric magic, anything that like grinds your gears that you need to get out there that you wish people knew?
I have one.
I have one too. You go first.
Okay.
So I was going to touch on it earlier, but then I did the thing where I just go, and then I'm like, I look back and I go, shh.
People have ADHD. It's fine.
Hey, people out there in TV land, there is a psychic energy vampire and an emotional vampire, right? This guy over here is usually called an energy vampire, or another term for a narcissist, right? Psychologically. However, what they do is not usually that way. It's usually more emotional, ramping you up, trying to get you to react, trying to get you to kind of, turn your gears, et cetera, in many different ways, right? So this guy is more correctly called an emotional vampire, right? This guy is an energy practitioner, and it is a part of their spirituality, and is also a psychic phenomenon. They're not the same. They are completely, there is nothing that shakes hands usually, depending on the person. But yeah, that's my soapbox.
Yeah. And mine is Beyonce is not demonic. She's just a chaos magician. That's
People are talking bad on Beyonce.
What? Yeah.
I love Beyonce. You leave her alone.
For like years.
I could go off about Beyonce.
I just had that.
Again, I don't get that flag. I don't get the flag that like this is.
It's the whole Sasha Fierce thing. I just
Sasha
had that.
Fierce. Sasha, no, dude. Okay, I want to go off about Sasha Fierce.
I had that epiphany today. I'm doing research. I was listening to like a lecture, and I'm like, oh my god, Beyonce's not demonic. She's just a chaos magician.
Chaos magic is fun.
Sasha Fierce. Okay. I want to go off so much.
Okay, let's answer the question. We got clarification.
I want to say so much. Yeah.
We can go back to Sasha Fierce, I promise.
Okay, good.
Oh, I didn't get in touch with the higher self or darker aspect. That could be so many different things for different people.
Yeah.
That isn't always a one and done kind of situation. It depends on the person. It really does. Depends on who they work with. It depends on what their soul type is. There are so many things that kind of it also has to do with like their experience in this cycle, or maybe even a past cycle. There are certain things that'll trigger that aspect or bring that aspect out. So honestly, in my opinion, meditation. Meditate on it. Do a lot of meditation, do a lot of shadow work, go deep into yourself, because nobody can tell you how to connect to that. You need to figure it out for yourself. But that is going to be the number one tool to understand that. But make sure that's your intention. Go into it being like, I want to figure out how to connect to my higher self, or that darker aspect, or that more primordial piece that is within me. And then go in. Do the Neo thing. You understand?
That's kind of what M said too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Got it, man.
Go down. Yeah. I feel like meditation's always the answer.
I mean, it is.
It's like one you want to hear, because I'll work with like, the deities I work with, and like I'm like, bro, don't tell me meditation.
It's always.
But it's right. And then I do it and I'm like, oh, it makes sense.
It's tedious for me.
It's okay. I love meditating, and I love different forms of meditation and learning different styles of like breathing and kind of messing around. Like what was the one that I did? It was like the Wim Hof.
Yeah.
The Wim Hof.
Oh yeah.
And I love, because it boosts your DMT in your brain. Yeah. When you do Wim Hof, be very careful if you have any breathing issues or anything like, a blood pressure thing. Be very careful. However, that is my chosen method every time I meditate, because, oh, good golly, that is a time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a time.
Especially if you have a problem staying in your body.
Yeah.
Like, because some of us are able to kind of like leave.
Yeah.
So sometimes like coming back, you're like afraid, or you just don't like,
Yeah.
You don't know how to readjust initially if you don't have somebody teaching you. So we're going to touch on
that.
This one. Okay. This one right here. Or the other comment.
That's
both.
Both are really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Generally do what works for you into the core of yourself. Open whatever lockbox you keep your hidden self inside, and let that come out to play.
And then the next one is great.
Mm-hmm.
Jack's got it. Journaling is one gate. Allowing yourself to tell it like a story at first. Experiment with wearing that self throughout controlled role play, which is fun.
That spot on.
Wait, but I like
the
one that M just put up.
Wait,
that would be my method. Go for the jugular. Yes.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, but
that's gonna do some.
That might scare
you.
That's when it's a time.
One.
No, that's when it's a time. No,
That
you
is
want
like,
the
but that's like
direct-
right to the point though, right? Because
Oh,
I've
that's
done
the
that,
one.
like I've only done that a handful of times because it'll answer your questions,
Mhm.
but sometimes the question is not the answer you're looking for, or the answer is not what you're looking for.
You'll definitely get the result. If you want to connect, that's the one. That's gonna
Yeah,
be
it's good. It's good. That's
there.
so another suggestion, like just for myself and like doing a lot of this stuff and working with people and myself mostly, like tarot, you can use that to kind of like prompt you to certain like messages from yourself because the knowledge from tarot like is just everywhere anyway. So the tarot cards kind of just like your way to channel it into something that you can see.
Yeah.
So that is a great thing like to journal with. Even if you're not like a tarot card person, you don't have to do it for other people. But I always tell people they should have like at least one deck in their house. But that's just little demon me speaking my mind.
Also want to touch on what Em said about the role playing.
Yeah,
That's
do it.
actually really, really important. So one of the ways that I directly connected with my higher self was through the web series, was through the Vampire Jack Townson story. That was like Jack as the entity, as the being, as the vampire, was how I actually connected to learn more about myself. So role play, and many of us will agree with this, role play is a way to find out who you really are. Be it D&D, be it Vampire the Masquerade, be it so many different amazing outlets. Be a role player. If you're a practitioner, if you're a vampire, get into role play because you will be shocked with what you learn.
Yeah, because that's you acting out. Yeah.
Write a book. No, really.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I try to tell people right now, since my husband's been gone for like 4 months now, anytime I get pissed, hot and bothered, I write. Emotionally distressed, I write. Like, because it's a way of like channeling stuff. And then you're like, as you're writing, you're like seeing parts of yourself that, it's like role play, but on paper.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. We are our most authentic selves when we unleash our creativity. We should have just sent her the link, guys. She should have just been on here with. So, there's a lot of, I don't see too many more questions, guys. Get your questions in. So you talked about like the whole like difference between like this energy vampire versus these emotional vampires, which is important because that's what people think when you say psychic vampire. So, is there anything else that's important? Any more soapboxes besides Sasha Fierce?
God, I want to go off about Sasha Fierce.
I thought that epiphany today was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh. Because it's in a lot of like, cockamamie, like conspiracy theory, like videos online and stuff. And so it's like, that's my Roman Empire. I think about it all the time. And I just like had that epiphany and I was like, I have to say that somewhere to somebody.
But there's so much to uncover.
Oh, talk about it. You had the thing to say. You had an actual thing to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's already out there.
What?
I mean, her face literally changes.
Yeah. She unmasks like fully on stage. Yeah, for sure.
She literally unmasks. And it's like, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, get it. It's not demonic or what other people would consider
evil
demonic.
Or whatever.
It's magic.
Yeah,
it is magic. It is literally magic.
Mm-hmm.
And I just soapbox done. That's all.
Well, that's a lot of like a lot of celebrities use that, right? Whether they realize it or not. Like they come out on stage in their like whole persona.
Mm-hmm.
They're, so.
You wear yourself on the outside and your in will follow.
There literally is a method that is entertainment magic. Like there literally is that. It's the glamour, talking about like aspects of like vampire magic, pulling that into. I would argue that you're like both a chaos and an entertainment magician.
Well, vampires are amazing. Glamour just comes a lot with being an energetic vampire.
Yeah.
Like that's something that we are very, very good at. And other people are really, really, really good at it. But they're like that is the glamour is good shit. Yeah, entertainment magic. I agree with you.
All right. Well, that's the Sasha Fierce talk. So, Shane, is there anything that you didn't get to talk about that you wanted to talk about as far as like your magic goes or magic in general?
I am very much a baby on my journey. Like I have literally just gotten started. I'm, it'll be a lot of fun to share what I can share and share what I'm willing to share, and kind of take everyone on this ride, because, you know, Jack has done a beautiful job of that, and it's been really inspiring. And thank you for inspiring me to accept myself. So now I get to like fumble through this now.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. So that's really it for me right now, but I don't know, come back to me in a couple of months and I don't, maybe it'll look different. I don't know.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. You're gonna, like the whole like research aspect of anything is just so exciting.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just a nerd too, but
I'm a huge nerd. I'm like, people are like, Shane, what do I get you for like, you know, your birthday or Christmas? I'm like, notebooks, pens, stationery,
pen, sticky notes, notebooks.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
At heart, so that's it.
All right, guys. I'm going to go through, make sure we didn't miss anything. Thank you to everybody that came. Crochet with Mouse, Fang Fem, M, Carla. Hey, she's my sister. Like, not like blood sister, but she's my sister. And we're going to start a D&D thing. I've never played. Her husband's like a master.
To answer Zoe's question really fast about Marilyn Monroe, I would say
yes. Okay. I see it.
Yeah.
I would say yes.
I would say big time yes.
I would agree.
Yeah.
All right. So the question was, so when Marilyn Monroe would switch from Norma Jean to You Want to See Her, Marilyn, do you think that was an unmask? And they said yes. So a lot of people have masks, not just vampires, I guess. You know,
no,
like,
definitely.
I mean, for sure, because there's people that you see, like, you know, we all have been involved with people that are like one way, and you say like, no, like I left this person or this friendship because of this. They're like, no way, that person's so great. It's because they have the mask and they're close to you and they'll unmask around you.
We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking,
Yeah.
But I just totally quoted the mask. I'm so sorry, but no, the difference when it comes to vampires is ours just looks a lot different.
You are the pretty ones.
Yeah, sure.
In my opinion.
I know.
All right, darlings. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks to Jack and Shane and everybody in the chat or watching later. Make sure that you go check out Jack's website. He's got an amazing book coming out, and Shane has some amazing books as well. So check out both of them. I do have your website in the description. So I think everybody here I recognize. So you know where to find Jack. But if you're watching this later and you're like, what the heck is going on here? And you want to know more, go find them. Go find M. Find everybody in the chat. Just go down there and just start finding people, because everybody here that I see contributes in one way or another. And thank you so much for coming. Hang out for a minute after I end the live. What do you have coming up next? Is there any appearances coming up you want to talk about or anything like that?
Oh my goodness. We have been doing a lot of things. It has been very, very busy. Right now, the thing that I am working on is getting this audiobook done. Is getting it finished, as well as starting some very important work for MSU, and looking forward to the book launch, January 23rd.
Pre-order, guys. I've decided I'm going to pre-order and then also get the hardback, because I was like holding out for the hardback, but then I'm like, okay, well, if I get it, I'll have it. And then when the hardback comes out, I'll get that and I can just give somebody the other one. Or I can be greedy like a little book gnome and just keep it, like, which is probably going to happen. So thank you so much, guys. I'll talk forever because I'm lonely. So
we'll talk forever because we're nerds.
Yeah,
we're nerds. Yeah, this is. I mean, like, I'm getting the nerd sticker. I made a D&D account, guys. Like, there's no turning back now. Like, I'm out of the top end, and now I'm going to play D&D. So it's forever.
Have you ever played VTM though?
No, I don't know about these things, man. The last thing I played was like.
You got to play VTM.
Yeah, that's like the vampire D&D.
I know what that is. Yeah.
I want to eventually do, possibly, like, down when there's time, like a big VTM game eventually down the road.
Vampire the Masquerade. It just hit me. Sorry. I've read about it, but I don't get invited to, like, I was like nerdy, but like still not, like, I was like in between the nerds.
I know you can't.
All right, we're still talking. Thank you, guys. Have a great night, day, whatever.
Bye, guys.
Hang out, Jack and Shane.
Bye.
Bye.